It's Monday, August 10th, and this is now on H&N.
Yeah, the difference between us and something like Fire Festival is Fire Festival found all of the people and then hoped that they could figure out the logistics later.
This has the internet buzzing today. Plans to turn a Waikiki hotel into a bubble college campus at a cost of $15,000 per mainland student.
Mobility data gives us a clear picture of just how many people have been moving around during the pandemic.
I'm Chris Martinez with a grim milestone in the coronavirus pandemic, the U.S. surpassing 5 million cases.
We are in a war, and this population needs the help.
Pacific Islanders say they're being ignored by the state in the fight against the virus. Coming up on This Is Now.
Sadly, we do have clusters here at the Holly, at least 10 or 9 or 10 in the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services. And we even have a case in my office, the mayor's office. For that reason, we are testing everyone, and including me. I've now been tested. The results should be made available by the end of today.
And that was Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell, who is holding a press conference right now on the city's response to the pandemic. He also mentioned hundreds of city employees are getting tested today at Honolulu Hale after a cluster was recently reported at the building. The mayor also said Honolulu Hale will be closing for business at 4:30 today, except for limited interactions with the public. Most city workers will also be working remotely until further notice. And this just in, sources tell Hawaii News Now that the University of Hawaii has been told that the Mountain West Conference is postponing its football season, and that players are being told right now that the season is not happening. We'll bring you more details as they become available. Also new at noon, Scott Murakami, the director of the State Labor Department, has resigned months after being directed by Governor Ige to take leave. Murakami was in charge of overseeing the distribution of jobless benefits. The governor directed Murakami to take leave on June 1st, saying he was under tremendous pressure, and the governor's office says he resigned on August 5th. And here's the latest numbers from the State Department of Health for today. Health officials are reporting 140 new COVID-19 cases. The breakdown shows 138 are on Oahu, 1 is on Maui, and 1 is on Kauai.
Wow, that was a lot of news to get to right there off the top. Thank you, Ashley. I want to take you outside now after we take a live look towards Waikiki. It looks pretty empty out there today, right? That's because all the beaches are closed. We have the new restrictions in place, but there could be a new stream of students coming into town. That's because there's this company called the U Experience that claims it's turning the Park Shore Hotel into a campus of sort. They're saying it's a bubble for students to come and learn this coming semester. It's causing a huge firestorm of debate online. CNN talked to one of the founders over the weekend. We're going to play some of that interview for you right now.
Due to the pandemic, tens of thousands of American college students will be taking their courses remotely, online this fall. Missing will be the companionship of classmates and the bonding experiences that come from living away from home. Well, enter the U Experience, an entrepreneurial venture hatched by 2 recent Princeton graduates. The idea is that instead of taking college courses in the family den, students can live amid the similarly situated in a hotel located in either Arkansas or Hawaii. The cost is $12,000 in Arkansas, $15,000 in Hawaii, about what students would pay for room and board at many universities. Joining me now is one of the founders, Lane Russell. Lane, I'm envisioning the South Harmon Institute of Technology. Is this a reality show waiting to happen, or is this about serious learning?
Thanks for having me, Mike. This is about serious learning, but we're letting the colleges take care of that. What we see our value being here is giving the students an opportunity, like you said, to work with other students and to actually live out that, kind of traditional college experience, because we do think that it has a lot of value as part of that educational experience.
So is there an application process? Are you going to weed through, assuming you get more who want to live under your roof for the next couple of months than you have capacity for? How are you going to determine who gets to be in it and who doesn't?
Exactly. So we have an application live on our website right now. We are going to be sifting through that, trying to decide how we can make the class both as diverse and inclusive as possible so that we get kind of a microcosm of American society to the best extent we're able to.
Is this going to be NBA style? In other words, when you get there in either Arkansas or Hawaii, you're now in a bubble, you're now in a lockdown environment with constant testing?
Exactly. So we're going to test the students even before they get to campus to make sure that they're not bringing anything into the local communities that we're involved in. And then once they are on campus, they will be under strict protocols. We have an entire handbook on our website, making sure that our students are keeping themselves and the communities and the staff members safe. We'll be limiting their exposure to possible sources of contagion. And likewise, we do see this as something where, despite being in the middle of a significant health crisis, we are also kind of in, I think, the early stages of a significant mental health crisis. And really, I think we're going to only be seeing the impacts of this and the impacts of having, millions of college students taken out of their social support networks and thrust into an isolated environment in the months to come. And so we're hoping to prevent that because we don't think people are talking about this enough.
Lane, I wish you good things. I don't know. It's either the Tesla, Apple, Google model of education or it's Firefly Festival. I hope it's the former and not the latter. You get the final word.
The difference between us and something like Fire Festival is Fire Festival found all of the people and then hoped that they could figure out the logistics later. Right now, we've made sure that we've had our heads down for the last month, putting together everything. We've gotten hundreds of bids from hotels across the country who are all excited to host this. We've gotten explicit support from the local communities and government. And right now, it's just a matter of seeing how many students are interested in doing this so we can build the best class possible.
I can see this already has a lot of people fired up on our Facebook comment thread. The founders said that they do know there's a 14-day mandatory quarantine for the state. They also noted in a recent article that students would not be exposed to each other immediately. He also said because they're buying entire hotels, they can devote extra rooms for quarters and quarantining. I've reached out to both UExperience and the Park Shore Hotel for further questioning. Neither has returned my calls, emails, or social media messages.
Beaches and parks were closed on Oahu this weekend as police threatened stricter enforcement. Doe Care officers didn't issue any citations on the first weekend of beaches and parks being closed here, but HPD issued more than 200 citations on Saturday alone. We're working on getting totals for the entire weekend. DLNR says a media post promoted a bonfire at Mokuleia, but officers set up barricades by Dillingham Airfield to block partygoers from heading in. There were a few violators on the windward side and a few folks laying out at Lanikai Beach who were asked to leave but were not cited. Officials say the Kaneohe sandbar was also empty, and for the most part it seems as though people are following the rules. How bad is Hawaii at social distancing? Here's Lacey Denise with what the data shows.
Hawaii gets a nearly failing grade at social distancing over the last couple of months. Honolulu Civil Beat reports GPS data collected from cell phones show how much Hawaii residents have been moving since the pandemic began. The data shows that when the stay-at-home order first took effect in March, most residents followed the rules and average mobility dropped 70%. Residents started moving more as restrictions started lifting in May and June. Even now, as cases spike, residents are doing more non-essential activities and gathering in larger groups than they did in March. Hawaii County had the highest score in the state with a C-, followed by a D+ for Maui County, a D for Kauai, and Honolulu County a D-, failing in two categories, non-essential visits and human encounters, but did have a reduction in average mobility. Now, despite the state receiving an overall D- grade, it is slightly better than the U.S. national grade of F. For This Is Now, I'm Lacey Denise.
The U.S. now has more than 5 million coronavirus cases. That's a quarter of the confirmed cases around the world. Chris Martinez has more.
North Paulding High School in Georgia is closed today and tomorrow for cleaning after 9 positive coronavirus cases were reported in the first week of school. The The outbreak was confirmed after students were seen in a crowded hallway, many not wearing masks.
They kind of just sent us into school and used us as guinea pigs to see what would happen later on.
Large crowds have gathered in South Dakota for the annual Sturgis motorcycle rally. South Dakota has no statewide mask mandate or special rules for indoor gatherings.
I've been here since the beginning of July. People are tired of being at home. You know, this is what this rally started about, is freedom.
In California, a pastor near Los Angeles held indoor services in defiance of state health rules and a court order.
Our congregation's educated. They're making a decision as citizens of this country.
California's public health director abruptly stepped down over the weekend following a glitch in the system that caused a major backlog in reporting coronavirus test results. Dr. Sonia Angel did not give a reason for her resignation. California has the most coronavirus cases in the nation and the third highest death toll, with more than 10,000 victims. Among them, Sergeant Gilbert Polanco. He's the first San Quentin prison guard to die of COVID-19.
Probably one of the wisest people to ever wear a uniform and to treat people with respect.
His wife and daughter also tested positive, but are recovering. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Advocates are saying that Pacific Islanders have been ignored by the state. As a result, the virus is spreading disproportionately. Lynn Kawano has this exclusive report.
The group consists of Samoan, Tongan, and Marshallese. That community especially has been affected and is begging for help.
If it spreads among us rapidly and gets out of control, we will be losing more people.
Community, let's be honest. They need to know the statistics. They need to know the breakdown. And they just need to, we are humans.
Pacific Islanders have the highest rate of infection in Hawaii. A UH study showed more than 527 coronavirus patients out of every 100,000 people, more than any other ethnic group. They made up 38% of the cases. The data helped community doctors to sound the alarm, but PI leaders say the Department of Health has been ignoring them.
We are in a war, and this population needs the help, but we have to have that connection with the Department of Health.
From the time that they was identified as positive to the timeline that Department of Health reaches out to them, it's just taking too long.
It's simply too much, and that's why we need an army of support, army of contact tracers.
State Health Director Bruce Anderson conceded that more is needed to help Pacific Islanders and committed resources. Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell was more blunt.
I think we need to do more, and in some ways I feel maybe we forgot about this community.
The Pacific Islander Advocacy Group want their people to be trained as contact tracers. They speak the language to help translate and can be deployed quickly. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
President Trump has now signed an executive order to extend those supplemental unemployment checks. Here's Howard Dykes with all the details.
Trump threatened to do it Friday, but actually did it Saturday while at his country club in New Jersey, with Democrats voting to extend $600 a week in supplemental benefits and Republicans voting to cut those payments to $200 a week. The president split the difference and ordered payments be cut to $400. Congressional authority expired a week ago and negotiators failed to agree on anything. Trump actually signed 4 orders. 2 others were billed as freezing evictions and student loan payments. Another deferred payroll taxes, a move neither party supports because it threatens Social Security. All this could be moot because of the questionable legality of all 4 orders. The Army now has over 10,000 COVID cases, the military as a whole over 30,000, and more than 500 service personnel are currently hospitalized for it. The Pentagon isn't breaking it down by bases, but says surges generally have occurred in states with civilian surges like Texas, Florida, California, and Georgia. In a move that could mean he knows more about these local cases than we do, Governor Ige last week rescinded the quarantine exemption for military families. Hawaii had 34 flights Friday and 2,200 arrivals roughly, including 117 military, 559 visitors, 661 returning residents, and more than 200 who said they were moving here. The numbers were a little bigger than that on Saturday.
More than 406,000 ballots were cast in the primary election. That's a record for a Hawaii primary. Two political newcomers are still competing to be Honolulu's next mayor. Former TV executive Rick Blangiardi and businessman Keith AMEMIYA will face off in the November general election. Blangiardi received about 69,000 votes and AMEMIYA garnered about 55,000. We talked to them both on Sunrise this morning.
We're going to just keep going out, visiting communities as best we can in this COVID environment and practice safe social distancing, but I'll do what I need to do, whether it's meet people via Zoom or whatever other means that's out there, and learn their issues, learn their concerns, and do what I can to best serve them as their mayor.
Quite honestly, I don't think I want to spend the time comparing myself to Keith. I think, in fact, I'm trying to figure out what's similar about us. I did enjoy the headline yesterday. I went from being called a media mogul to a rookie. It's been a long time since I've been called a rookie. I welcome the opportunity. For me, Steve, it's really about the challenge right now of who I am and how I can present myself on a going forward basis. That's who I'm competing against, is me, and trying to influence the people who live here that I can handle this job.
Despite the historic economic crisis we find ourselves in, there are still jobs available out there. Casey Lund has more on the resources.
Well, despite the fact that a lot of industries here in Hawaii are still really struggling without any tourism happening, there are still plenty of job opportunities available. I want to tell you about a job fair, a virtual job fair coming up Wednesday from 8:30 to noon. It's hosted by the Chamber of Commerce Hawaii. You know, the Chamber has done a lot to connect employers with potential candidates since the pandemic really got bad back in March.
We all had to pivot overnight to go virtual. Unfortunately, there is a number of tools available that allowed us to put on a virtual job fair, believe it or not. So it's really cool. It mimics an actual in-person job fair with expos, speakers, as well as access to resources. So it's just turning on your computer and pretty much following the same program.
Some of the employers that are going to be hiring and recruiting at this job fair gave us some really good pointers on what to do to prepare for a virtual interview.
So 3 things to think about. One is setting up your environment. What's your lighting look like? Is the backlight too bright and they can't see you? You have a ceiling fan, shut the windows. Make sure you've really thought about your environment. You might even take a selfie of yourself to make sure everything looks good. The second one is keep your energy high. It can be hard on a virtual interview, especially if it takes a long time, to keep yourself as engaging as you would be in person. So make sure you make a conscious effort to keep your energy high. And then last but not least, around your computer monitor, put Post-its with your key points that you want to make so you can maintain eye contact while still making those key points.
Potential job seekers should head to COC Hawaii, that's Chamber of Commerce Hawaii.org, to register again for that job fair coming up Wednesday, August 12th from 8:30 to noon. I'm Casey Lund reporting downtown for This Is Now.
Thank you, Case. And as we told you at the top of the show, there are 140 new cases today, but the health department is also reporting 3 more deaths related to COVID-19, bringing Hawaii's death toll to 34. DOH usually provides the media with information about new fatalities in the morning, so we're not sure what happened, but we are still awaiting those details. And again, the 3 fatalities are on top of 140 new cases.
And we got some new information just into our newsroom. President Trump was escorted out of the White House briefing room just momentarily after there was some sort of shooting outside the White House. It is all under control now. I'm told he has been escorted back into the White House. We have some video that's just into our newsroom as well as this all unfolded.
Records, it's been up over 14 times. New record in NASDAQ.
He was giving the coronavirus daily briefing as this all unfolded.
And the Dow
from what I
Jones
understand in this video, he's about to be escorted out by Secret Service
like they're just about going to be
any moment now.
records, hopefully soon.
This is our first time seeing it as well. Here we go.
Excuse me?
There you can see he calmly walks off outside of the briefing room. And again, we are told that shooting situation is back under control and President Trump is back in the White House. We're going to switch gears here for you really quickly. Let's toss it over to Billy V with the latest on our weather.
Thank you very much. Good morning. This is Monday, about 9 a.m. when we were recording this. Billy V sitting in for Guy Hoggy. Let's talk about first Tropical Storm Elita. Storm is about 220 miles west-southwest of Manzanillo, Mexico. This is forecast to become a hurricane later on today, but notice how close it is to the Central America and the continental United States. That means it's not going to really affect us. As a matter of fact, let's give you the track right now. You'll show that it'll become a tropical storm now. A Category 1 hurricane. It's forecast to become that a little bit later on today when the winds become 74 miles per hour. Right now it's just 70. And then it'll become a tropical storm again as it hits the open ocean and eventually to a remnant low. So this storm, while it is in the eastern Pacific, it will not be affecting us, but it is a reminder that yes, we are in the middle of hurricane season, so make sure that you're always up to date and always planned to have your hurricane kit ready. Let's go ahead and go into the oceans right now. The biggest waves are 3 to 5 feet. Let's go over and be on the east-facing shores. Trade winds swell, so conditions are choppy. Everything is 1 to 3 or less. Your UV index is at 12. And today's forecast, steady trades, passing showers, lots of sunshine, the winds 10 to 25 miles per hour east-northeasterly, and a lot of places across the state. Kahului, this is 90, Honolulu, Kapolei, 90, and it feels more like about 93. So stay hydrated, stay cool, wash your hands, social distance, and as always, get the latest on air, online, on your mobile app, and at HawaiiNewsNow.com.
All right, let's see what the internet's talking about. Jonathan, wake up.
What?
So Jonathan's celebrating National Lazy Day, August 10th, you guys.
My feet up here.
So the top rule for National Lazy Day is if you can't reach it, you don't need it. And for those who don't want to self-identify as lazy, another word you could use is relaxed.
Ah, that's what I like.
Yeah,
that's
now the official exercise of National Lazy Day is diddly squats.
Oh, nice. All right, we're going to take you to some good news now. The Bishop Museum has a new exhibit exploring some local musicians.
This exhibition is a celebration of Hawaiian music. We're tracing the origins of the most famous guitars in the world. The first electric guitar ever made will be in this exhibition, and we're tracing them to the birthplace of modern stringed culture right here in Honolulu and Hawaii.
In addition to what you just said, Kylan, there are going to be some really rare pieces from Bishop Museum included in the exhibit. So, for example, an array of historic photographs, but also an ipuheke used for hula, an ukeke, which is a particular type of Hawaiian instrument, and then an array of rarely seen in Hawaii right after the Portuguese immigrants brought that instrument here to the Hawaiian Islands.
This exhibition brings together instruments from all over the world. And just like you can't hope to get the full story of Hawaiian music from any one instrument, you need the ukulele, the steel guitar, the mandolin, the banjo, the violin, all coming together to tell the story. So it is with this exhibition. We have King Kalakaua guitar from the Hulihe'e Palace on the Kona side of the Big Island. We have the first ever Hawaiian lap steel guitar from a collector in the continental United States. And what's special to me is the namesake of our nonprofit, Mekia Kealakai. The Martin Guitar Company has recreated the very first jumbo acoustic guitar that they made for him in 1915 just for this exhibition.
So when people come to the exhibit, it isn't just a matter of standing and looking at instruments or looking at photographs. There are hands-on things. You're going to be able to play an electric steel guitar yourself to hear what sounds come out of that. But there's also going to be an entire video wall of clips of people playing, and you're going to be able to hear the music that they're creating as well.
DeSoto, the video wall is really exciting, and I'm very happy that we're featuring footage from an upcoming documentary film we're producing, featuring people like Kavika Kahiapo playing Gabby Pahinui's old Martin guitar. We have Doug Tolentino playing Ellen Prendergast's original ukulele that she...
Oh, not to cut you off, guys, but that looks so cool. I'm going to check it out at the Bishop Museum. We'll have more information on our website. That's going to do it for This Is Now. A lot more news coming up at 5.